Are you feeling tired, experiencing brain fog, finding that it takes you a long time to get anything done, attain your goals, self-sabotage, procrastination, you just are not where you want to be in life, and you want to truly step into something extraordinary where states of peak performance, longevity, flow, revenue goals, more freedom, more time, all just come more effortlessly to you? Don't we all? Well, in this short masterclass, I'm going to show you how you can do exactly that and achieve that in an effortless state. I'll give you a hint. It's a lot easier than you realize. So let's dive into it right now. Okay, so here's how I have achieved perfect health and multi-seven-figure performance while running a business and traveling the world at the same time, without any pills, stimulants, or sacrificing my life. Now, this is not for you if you are somebody who thinks you can just outwork your problems by hustling, by working harder. Of course, these are true, but it's not the crux and the philosophy of what I'm about to show you. And also, if you think you can just take X, it could be stimulants, it could be coffee, it could be energy drinks, it could be pills, it could be medication, it could be alcohol, any crutch that you think you can use just to get by, and that's going to win for you at the end of the day. This is not for you if that's the model that you're looking for. But this is for you if you're seeking elite health, peak performance, a really high functioning peak state brain that just ultimately makes more profit in your business, that allows you more time to travel, more freedom, deeper, meaningful relationships, to be there more for your spouse, your partner, your children, to be the best leader that you can be, and ultimately a model that fits into your current lifestyle where you might be busy. You have so many spinning plates that are happening at the same time. And how do you go towards this life that you're looking for? You might be focusing on the external things like business tactics, business coaches, different books that you're reading, different masterminds you're attending, but you're finding it's just not moving the needle in the way that you're looking for, then this is for you. Now, the old way where I used to be, I was once upon a time working in finance, and then ultimately that's where I had, which I'm going to show you in one moment, I had an autoimmune disease. But fast forward to 2016, from that point, I was really not sure where I was in life, and I was a little bit lost within this entrepreneurial journey. I had brain fog. I was low energy. I was really only functioning at 70% of my capacity. I felt okay, but there was people around me that were functioning a lot higher, and we were in the same groups together. We were reading the same books, but I'm not sure. I really didn't know why were they getting ahead of me, and it was driving me nuts. I was relying on coffee, pills, and these external band-aid solutions to make my brain work that only lasted temporarily. And I kept increasing the dose of it, and it really wasn't working for me in the long term. I had weird health issues going on. My skin was dry. My hairline was receding. Everything was low energy. For example, after a workout, I just didn't have the energy for 2 or 3 days after. I wasn't gaining the muscle I wanted. I wasn't losing the fat that I ultimately wanted to achieve. Nothing was just working in my favor. And it just seemed like certain people around me had it easier. And again, I didn't know what was happening for me. My lab tests were way off. When I was doing blood biomarker testing, it just wasn't within the range that it should have been. Everything was just a complete mess. I was making money in my business, sure, but it really felt like an uphill battle that required effort, and it led to procrastination and self-sabotage, where every day when I woke up, it just felt like this effort, like this hill that I was climbing on, and I didn't know why, and it wasn't a place that I wanted to be, and I knew that there was a better way, and I was never achieving my goals, and I was only relying on like books, courses, and business coaches to really get to where I wanted to, but it wasn't what I realized what ultimately worked for me. Fast forward 5 years later to 2021, I had a clear mind. I had energy that lasted 8+ hours during the day. My body wasn't relying on stimulants to work, but it was nice to have. I enjoyed the taste of coffee, but it wasn't something that I needed, where I felt like a walking zombie in the morning just to get the day started. All these weird health issues that I was talking about, plus more, they just suddenly went away. All the lab tests now, my health KPIs, they were within perfect score, within perfect range. Now I started making a lot more money in my business, and it just felt more effortless because all I had to do was take action, and I was starting to see the results, the fruits from my labor. And also I achieved effortless freedom, and I was surpassing my goals, and it just became something that was the day-to-day norm. All the goals I was setting for myself on a monthly, quarterly, and yearly basis, I just far exceeded them, and it took less effort than it once did 5 years prior to that. And I'm going to show you exactly how I did that, because all I had to do was just take simple action, and I observed the results. And what helped me achieve this was something that I call the inside-out approach. Before I was focusing on all these external things, the outside-in approach, I was trying to manage my symptoms with temporary bandage solutions all externally, and it led to inner machinery burnout. All these systems that were running my body truly became burnt out. And it was no wonder I wasn't able to perform that I wanted to, because if I looked upstream to see where that was coming from, well, it was what was inside of me that was ultimately running the show that wasn't really working as it should anymore. And my sources of energy, my sources of focus were ultimately this dirty source that was short lasting, that wasn't sustainable. And I always had to keep using it, burning these dirty fuel sources to ultimately feel that energy to attain the levels of cognition and performance states that I needed to function. But it never really worked. It always felt like a 5 out of 10. I wanted to feel these levels of consistent, clean sources of energy, focus, peak performance states, and ultimately my health feeling better 10 out of 10 all the time. And the outside approach wasn't working for me. External stimulants like pills, alcohol, was ultimately short term and it did not last. So when I found the inside out approach, that's when everything changed for me, because I looked at the root cause, and instead of my inner machinery being burnt out, every single day it was being recharged. It would go up to plus 500. And for that day, I might only use 200 of it. But when I woke up the next day, I was even in more of a surplus. So every single day with the work that I was doing, I was getting more and more energy, and it turned into this upward spiral. And I was using my body's own natural energy supply, its own source of giving me the results that I wanted to in my life without having to rely on these external things, which again was short lasting. And as a result of that, I was able to do that day in and day out, and it compounded. I was able to just do the actions, see the results, do the actions, see the results. And just like the stock market, instead of 8% return, I was seeing 500% returns on the ROI with my health KPIs and the money that I was able to attain in my business. Now, just a little bit about me. I'm the owner and founder of Peak Perform. You can visit me at this website, but I'm a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, certified sleep science coach, and DNA Fit certified. My story was I used to suffer from an autoimmune disease. I was working in finance about 12 years ago, and I suffered from brain fog, and I was making these clumsy mistakes, and I did not know what was happening with me. Long story short, I went from doctor to doctor, specialist to specialist, and they finally gave me an answer. I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. And the medication that they gave me for this was actually making me feel worse. And it was at that point I had to quit my job. I fell into a deep depression, and I had to figure out, how does my body work? The people that I relied on to help me, doctors save people's lives. I have nothing against them, but it just wasn't working for me. So I had to find a new model, and I went on the quest and the search. I was researching for hours a day, spent tens of thousands of dollars on doctors, mastermind with people and health coaches from around the world to figure out, how does our body work on a first principle basis. And within 1 year, I put my immune condition into complete remission, and it has not come back since. And not only that, but my energy within 1 year and everything else shot way beyond my imagination and continued to improve month after month, year after year. And I've seen it for so many people that I've worked with in this replicable model. Fast forward to today, I've been able to entirely change my life in a way that's effortless, in a way that's been fun, in a way that's been enjoyable, in this lifestyle of being able to travel the world with freedom while working on my business, meeting like-minded people, attracting meaningful relationships into my life, and just having fun in the process while I've been doing this, getting the physique of my dreams, getting those mental peak states where when I just wake up, I just feel like I have energy. I feel like it's going to be a good day. And a lot of these things and different gadgets I'll use is, it's stuff that's fun, but ultimately it comes from just being able to enjoy this world and using your business as a source to make money, to be able to enjoy this life, and using each day to one that you fully enjoy and getting to pick and choose, what do you really want to do with your day? How do you want to spend your life without feeling like each day is a liability? You feel like each day is one that you can thrive in, and every moment is a moment to enjoy, opposed to a moment to feel stressed and be in this downward spiral. So it sent me into this upward spiral that just kept paying me dividends year upon year, day after day. And I've been able to, like I've said, been able to do it for many other entrepreneurs, high performers, people with busy schedules. And I can't wait to show you how I've been able to do it for myself. And it's what I call the peak perform model. And what it encompasses is 4 different pillars: measure, personalize, making it effortless, and attaining results inside of your life. So we're going to look at each of these. But why does it matter? Well, you need to find untapped leverage inside of your business and inside of your life. You see, a lot of entrepreneurs are only functioning at 70%, 7 out of 10. They're reading all the same books. They're taking all the same courses.
They're hiring all the same types of coaches, but they're all just making these micro optimizations and really not getting that much further ahead with each other. And time is valuable. We all have the same amount of hours available each day. So, how do we get untapped leverage? What are those leverage multipliers that we can use in our life to achieve this? And I found the answer, and that is our inner machinery. When we're able to take this inside out approach and optimize our inner machinery, so despite us doing all the same external things, we're able to optimize the internal, where we can make a 12-hour day, we can get twice the amount done compared to our competition, or we can get more done in a short period of time. We can sleep 2 hours less because our sleep quality is a lot more efficient. We're able to get way more done. Maybe we're in the shower and this brilliant business idea just pops up. All of these things happen when our inner machinery is functioning more efficiently, just like it should. And it's much like a car. We can take a modern day Porsche and compare it to a 1970s, 1980s Porsche, both beautiful cars. But look in the difference how they operate. One burned a lot more gas. Of course, the newer Porsche is going to have more power, but the newer Porsche is going to run a lot more efficiently. So from getting from point A to B, it's going to be burning less gas and working more smoothly than the other car, which is going to sound like this loud roaring engine, which again is beautiful in its own way. But what we're going to find is when we go to that newer car, it just runs so much more efficiently. It's more quiet. And as a result, we are just going to be able to enjoy that experience a lot more while still getting to our destination a lot more quickly. And our biology is a lot more the same way. The more powerful and efficient our inner machinery, the more we are ultimately going to win against other people and against ourselves. And what that means is us making more money in our business, achieving more freedom, developing deeper relationships with our partner, with our children, becoming a better leader for our team, and just being more Zen-like in our day-to-day, where we achieve what we're looking to do without being stressed out all the time in a way that takes less perceived effort. So this is what the first pillar is. We have to personalize the protocol to us. Now, everybody has a different health goal. Some people are looking for better health, and some people are looking for better performance. Do you feel like 2 out of 10 and you're looking to achieve just 7 out of 10 just so you start to feel better? Where I was in my disease state, that's what I was ultimately looking to achieve. But maybe you're somebody who feels okay already, maybe mediocre. Day-to-day is fine, and you're looking to hit those next levels of 10 out of 10 in peak performance, the type that you can hit that top 1% in everything you do to achieve all those goals that I was looking for. So whether you are better health or better performance, we can help you with both. Now, what you have to understand is you are extremely unique. All of us are unique. We are, as humans, the same in a lot of ways, but we are so different at the same time. At any one time, we have 36 trillion cells, which is more chemical reactions in your body in 1 second than all the stars in our galaxy. We also have 70,000 thoughts per day, majority of which are coming from our subconscious mind, which we're going to touch on in a moment. But think to yourself, are the majority of those chemical reactions and thoughts in your favor or not in your favor? Are they going towards you making more money, more freedom, having more time available to you, and living the life in the dream life that you want? Or are they going against it? And if they're not, there's something that we can do about that. But first step is having that awareness of where this is coming from. Now, so many people are taking this cookie cutter approach and they're not seeing the results. No wonder it doesn't work. There's a lot of health performance coaches, doctors, and they're great. They save people's lives, and it's better than not doing anything. But I've seen so many people who can't find a solution, who are jumping coach to coach, and they're not seeing not only the monetary goals, but their health goals and performance goals that they're looking for. And really the X factor is having a solution that is personalized and customized to you and your schedule and your unique biology. The reason why is because a one-size-fits-all solution is like putting a square peg into a round hole. It's just not going to work. And that's where we have to look at the root cause. Just like a tree, instead of the branches where the symptoms are, we have to go to the root cause of where that's coming from. Much like another analogy, which is the upstream analogy, where we have a mountain and there's a stream coming down. Let's say it's down going towards the ocean. We're going to find that a lot of the symptoms are on the bottom of the stream by where the ocean is. And a lot of people fixate there. But we want to go upstream all the way up to the source of where that water is coming from. And that's where the root cause is. So think of your symptoms sometimes, whether it's fatigue, brain fog, whatever the case is, as a clue as to something that's happening upstream. And when we see it that way, then we can get to the root cause a lot more quickly. And the reason why is because we have all these different systems in our body that work at one time. And not only are they working silo within themselves, They're communicating with each other just like beautiful machinery inside of a car. We have this beautiful machinery that's inside of us, just like an orchestra where all the different instruments are playing a rhythm with each other. And what happens is when one instrument starts to play too fast or too slow, it's going to put pressure on all the other instruments to play faster or slower and put pressure on them as well. And so when we have these different systems in our body, for example, our hormonal system, our immune system, our brain, our genetics, our musculoskeletal system, the list goes on between all these systems. When they start to communicate, and there's these weak links that start to happen because pressure is put on one, then there's more pressure put on the other. This leads ultimately to something known as metabolic chaos, where everything just think of as scattered, where them in silo aren't working as they should, but then them communicating with each other aren't working as they should. And many doctors, they specialize in the brain, they specialize in the gut, they specialize in the heart, they specialize in hormones. But do they ever actually talk to each other? Some do, but a lot of the time you only have 5 minutes with that specialist doctor. They don't. And so what the X factor is that I have experienced and I've seen with so many people is what is the communication network between all of those and what do those look like? And that's when people truly start to get better. The reason why is because within our body, everybody has a stress bucket. Scientific term is called their allostatic load. And when that stress bucket becomes too full, and it starts to overflow, that's when we just start to experience a lot of these symptoms. For me at the time, it was this disease state of autoimmune disease. But for other people, it could simply be brain fog. It could simply be fatigue. It could simply be reliance on coffee. It could simply be pushing and hustling and burning the candle at each end to use willpower to just get ahead. But it just feels so exhausting each day. And some of us are used to it because that's just been our normal that we've been used to. We're hustlers and we wear a badge of honor to show that to everybody. But there's an easier way where we feel a lot better than what we're used to. And sometimes we don't know what that feels like until we've experienced. We look back and we think, wow, I feel so much better and so much lighter and I'm getting more done at the same time. So there's external stressors like life changes, emails, deadlines, relationship arguments. We know what those look like. But we also have internal stressors. And these are the important ones and what I want to highlight to you that are more important in my opinion. And these are parasites in the gut, our body being toxic with chemicals. It could be inflammation. It could be gut candida, gut parasites, our thyroid's off, our detoxification within our liver, pathway 1 and 2 are blocked. It could be poor sleep, poor diet, our brain neurotransmitters are imbalanced. And all of these are causing excessive stress on other parts of our body, all to the point when we combine these internal, external stressors into our stress bucket, it'll start to overflow. And so what we want to do instead is take those stressors out of our stress bucket. And much like a computer that is full of viruses and it's taking up all the RAM and all the bandwidth with the hard drive, we want to remove that. So now it has more RAM available to run just the day-to-day applications. Now your computer runs faster. Now it's more efficient and it's not putting so much stress on it. And your mind and body are the same way. We have to remove these internal stressors that are coming, much like a garden that's full of weeds. We have to take out the weeds from your garden first. Only then can we plant the seeds in your garden and it will flourish into this beautiful garden. And that is why when we have all these stressors coming down on our system, when one body system starts to fail, it puts pressure on the others and they all start to fail, much like a Jenga puzzle. We take one piece out here, put stress on this side. Take one piece out here, put stress on this side until it all comes tumbling down. And again, for you, that could be brain fog or it could be extremely bad and poor health. Is it peak performance you're looking for or is it just better health? They both apply. I was on the extreme end of poor health and now I'm on peak performance, but everybody has a different goal and a different range that they're looking to achieve. But just know that when the instruments inside of your body, each organ, each system is playing off rhythm too fast, too slow, that's when everything is going to get out of whack. So what's the solution to this? Well, it's personalizing it to you. We have to take a subjective, how do you subjectively feel, and an objective approach of seeing what do the numbers actually say. And that brings us to pillar 2, measure and monitor. You see, just like a mechanic who looks under the hood of your car, we have to look under the hood of your biology. And if we were to look under the hood, we would probably find a few things. And some of them would include, if we looked at your genetics, we would see what are the best types of foods that you should eat that are aligned to what your bit of genetics and body need. Because if we're not having an external environment, eating the right foods, doing the right exercise, following the right sleep schedule that's aligned with our genetics, it's going to be like trying to walk upstream instead of going with the stream. Life is just going to be a lot more difficult. Also, food sensitivities that we have. I've seen so many people who eat quote unquote healthy foods, but they're actually causing their body inflammation. Also, inside of people's gut, they could have parasites, pathogens, H. pylori, worms, viruses, and it's causing a lot of stress inside of their gut and causing the foods that they're eating to not be fully absorbed and used as fuel for their hormones and for their brain neurotransmitters, so they fully feel like they have energy, so they have sources of focus for stress resilience, for feeling good, for creativity. The list goes on with that. Also, hormones is a big piece for a lot of people. Just for example, we should have higher cortisol in the morning and lower cortisol at night. But what we can see with this person in particular, we can see that their cortisol is lower than it should be because we should be slightly higher. And it's both our total cortisol sum. So is our total cortisol too high or low during the day, or do we have a just missed rhythm throughout the day? Does somebody have too high cortisol at nighttime when it should be a little bit lower? That would probably correlate with they're not able to sleep and their mind is potentially racing, or their cortisol is too low, which mine pretty much was shot. I didn't have any cortisol left. Then I was totally stressed. I wasn't able to lose fat. I couldn't put on muscle because my body was in this catabolic breaking down state constantly, and I didn't have motivation. I felt depressed, and it was no wonder because my levels were completely depleted. And everyone has a different case and a different health profile that's contributing to them starting to feel this way, whether it's poor health or not the performance that they're looking for. I know, and I realize this looks like another language, and this can get complex, but let me make this very simple for you. When we look at these, think of these as just health KPIs. For example, somebody has low levels of energy and we look at their mitochondria and we are able to see, well, they don't have the specific nutrients to be able to formulate those clean sources of energy. And that comes maybe from their gut not being able to absorb the nutrients properly is one example, or their brain neurotransmitters aren't properly balanced because they're not getting the right building blocks in the chemical reaction chains for that to happen in the first place. It could be dopamine for focus. It could be serotonin for feeling happy. It could be GABA for just feeling relaxed and calm and chill, maybe before we go to sleep or in a stressful meeting. It could be acetylcholine for our memory. The list just goes on with this stuff. Or it could be, our body is just so toxified from all the chemicals that we've been exposed to, from pollutions outside, shampoos, deodorant, conditioner, things that we're putting on our skin. The list just goes on. Plastic water bottles. I've just seen so many people's livers be completely contaminated that way, or their thyroid gland is off, or they have mold or heavy metals inside of their body. There are just so many different factors that we look at. And that's why assessing the biomarkers can be a massive indicator to see where these hidden stressors are coming from. The next is we need to look at your body's subjective biometrics. So the first thing is we looked at the numbers to see, well, what does your body objectively show is going on, and where the holes and where the weak links within your biology. But we also need to see how do you subjectively feel on a day-to-day basis. And we can map out and see subjectively, based on each of the systems in your body, what is less than it should be or what is more than it should be. And when we're able to map this out on a day-to-day basis, you just start to feel so much better, and we start to see those numbers increase and improve at the same time. And then finally, we want to test and don't guess with looking at Oura Ring biometric data. And this is where we're going to see your health KPIs in real time and just see on a day-to-day basis, is it trending upwards or is it trending downwards? And if it's trending downwards, we're able to pinpoint exactly why based on what we're seeing here, what your lab tests show, and then subjectively, how are you feeling? And then we can make 1% optimizations on the fly, see where exactly that's coming from. Whether you have my help or whether if you try to do this yourself, this approach has helped so many people. I can't begin to tell you, and it makes me really excited just sharing this. But we can see, for example, somebody's deep sleep, somebody's REM sleep, somebody's heart rate variability, their resting heart rate, and we can make correlations to what's happening on a day-to-day basis, opposed to just these big numbers. Sure, the rating score, the sleep score, the activity score, we see one big fat number, but I want to see what are the numbers that are happening behind that, what are happening behind the scenes that really paint a bigger picture and tell a different story than what is going on. And finally, pillar 3, we have to make your results permanent, because ultimately where your results are coming from for your health and performance are going to be between you and what you desire, where you are currently now, which is point A, and you want to get to point B. The fastest way there is going to be a straight line, but how many of us go up and down all around, and it takes us far longer to get to our goals than we plan to, whether it's a revenue goal, whether it is health goal, whether it is a relationship goal, whether it is a travel or time of freedom or business goal. We usually take a lot longer than is necessary, whether it's from self-procrastination, we finish things in a lot longer time frame than we like to. The list goes on. And so the solution to this is we just have to get out of our own way and just do it. Because if we just got out of our own way and just achieved the thing a lot faster than we realize, then we would get to that place a lot faster than we realize. And so this is the state that I call effortless flow. Effortless flow states is how we achieve that. And how do we do that? Well, we have to master our mind. Now, the hard way that a lot of people are using, I see a lot of entrepreneurs, is hustle, willpower, and force. But the easy way is we have to let it flow through us with a little perceived effort. We just get things done with a little perceived effort. We just do without much thinking, and it just gets done in a lot more fast and efficient way, just like the Porsche I was showing you. And a big reason for this is removing the weeds, just like the biology of those weeds, like I was telling you, inside of our garden. We have to remove those weeds that are inside of our mind. And these come both from conscious weeds and unconscious weeds, those roadblocks that are holding us back. Just to give you an example, we have about 70,000 thoughts per day, 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. 80% of those thoughts are negative, and 95% of them are the same repetitive thoughts. Now, 85% of what we worry about never actually really happens. And from 15% of the thoughts that did come true for people on average, 80% of those people found that they could handle the situation better than expected, or taught them a lesson that they would benefit from in the future. So it actually wasn't so bad that they perceived it to be. It actually benefited them in some way. So all these thoughts that are looping for us, that are quite repetitive in nature, really don't benefit us in any way. So the conclusion is 90% of our worries are baseless and occur because of groundless, pessimistic perception. And this ultimately what holds us back, not only from negative beliefs that we have that stop us from doing things, but also just the day-to-day and our focus and our ability to be able to focus, and we can't focus because that bandwidth is taken up from all these hidden stressors inside of our biology and our brain that is weighing us down like this thick, heavy lead blanket, and our stress bucket just being overflown by all these hidden internal stressors and external stressors that is just making our mind really difficult to navigate day to day, and it slows us down immensely. And again, to do what we want to do, we just have to take the action. That's it, A to B. But we can't do that because we're up and down all around. But you have to ask yourself, what's the root cause? Is it a lack of motivation? Well, where does motivation come from? Motivation kind of goes upstream to a lot of the biochemical reactions in our body and in machinery that's taking place. And it doesn't just come down to habits. Habits is really important, like James Clear, Atomic Habits. I love that book. It's changed my life. It has changed other people's lives. But many people are doing that and still not seeing the results they're looking for. And so we have to look further upstream what's going on. And so in this case, unconsciously removing what's getting in your own way. Now, the subconscious mind is very interesting. You may have heard the subconscious mind takes up the majority of our mind, and that is true. Our conscious mind is thinking, planning, analyzing, short-term memory, willpower, the list goes on. But we also have our subconscious mind, involuntary body functions, emotions, feelings, beliefs, values, habits, long-term memories, intuition, creativity, and dreams, protective responses. This is really getting to the root cause of where that's coming from. Now, what's really unfortunate is a lot of people, folks, again, just like the biology, it's the same. They drink coffee, they take pills, much of the same way people manage their thoughts on a conscious level. Well, I'm just going to use willpower to get ahead, or I am just going to try and stay motivated for my conscious mind, not knowing that their unconscious mind is really that root cause that runs the show. Now, for people that hold them back the most in the subconscious mind, that runs 85% of the mind, you know, those thoughts that are just coming up, the dreams that you're having, the attachments that you have, you know, fear avoidant, or those different areas of your life where you just feel you're not motivated, or you just have that heightened sense of anxiety. There's a reason where that comes from. It potentially is the past. Who knows? It's hard to make sense of the subconscious mind. You may have seen the movie Inception. It's pretty wild. But trauma is such a big one. Trauma and conditioning are a big one, but trauma is such a big one that holds people back. Now, it doesn't have to be trauma like a rape victim, but it can just be microforms of trauma from the past that you have experienced. Now, most people, for the conscious mind and for forms of therapy, they will focus on the conscious mind, and that's the form of therapy, which does work great. Again, for psychologists and psychiatrists, they change people's lives. But these are sort of outdated models of therapy that, while it helps for some people, there are just more new and modern ways that don't have to take 10 years to develop into what it is today and reach the mainstream. There's more cutting edge ways that in 5, 10, 15 years from now, sure, it will become adopted, but usually it takes a while before it hits the masses. But I want to show you what the cutting edge really ultimately can give you in the form of, instead of just doing talk therapy or cognitive behavioral therapy, which is good for the conscious mind, it's not so good for the subconscious mind. And so that's where we have to use more advanced modalities to ultimately get to the root cause of the subconscious mind, which will then flow to the conscious mind. So it's just lighter, it feels good, it's effortless, and we can stick to these habits, stick to all these things on a much easier basis, because day to day, we just feel like we do the thing and it feels easy. It doesn't feel like all this perceived effort where we're always stuck in our head, and it leads to just self-sabotage. So here's how it goes. Here's the chain. There's what you want. There's your mind blocking you, leading to procrastination and self-sabotage, which is really subconsciously driven. So what we have to do is release the shackles of the unconscious mind. And this will lead to effortless flow, maximum productivity, Zen-like focus, clarity, and peak performance. And then ultimately you win in your personal and business life, and it spirals upwards. And the result, you win on all levels, just like I've been able to win. It could be freedom, it could be money, it could be relationships, it could be a physique, it could be just health, or a data-driven nerd like I am, trying to hit your health KPI numbers for the sake of attaining those numbers. But for you to break free the shackles and finally be free and attain the results that you're looking for without having to compete with all these people, with all these external tactics, while they are helpful, there's a way to gain more leverage, and that's by hacking and getting into your internal machinery and being able to make your operating vehicle, your operating machine, works so much better. Now, we've been able to help people achieve these results in both their personal and their business life all around the world, including Alex James, who's an entrepreneur and lost 22 pounds and regained his life back in just 4 months. We also have Andre Larrabee, who gained 5 extra hours of deep sleep in 4 weeks, was no longer pre-diabetic, now medication-free, and lost 25 pounds in 6 months. We have Shaya Molla, who transformed her burnout to effortless well-being in 2 months, and so many more. I won't go through each of these individually, but all different kinds of demographics, all different kinds of people who are aspiring to do better in both their health and performance. But a couple of them that I want to highlight to you. One of them is Timothy. Timothy ran a business of over 20 people. He has many kids in his family, a Christian man, and he was doing all the right things that he thought, but he just didn't have any fuel in the tank left. He was trying medications, he was trying a lot of things, but it wasn't working for him anymore. And so he came to me with ultimate brain fog, ultimate burnout, and it was affecting his relationships, it was affecting his revenue in his business, and ultimately being a leader for the people in his business that counted on him. So coming to me, he went from battling foggy days, racing thoughts, restless nights, to now he's regularly in flow states on command, present for his loved ones, and approaches each day with heightened confidence and focus. We also have Matt. He was a little bit younger of an entrepreneur, but great success story. He went from 30 to 40K months, now to 80 to 90K months. And he was suffering from low energy levels, severe sleep issues, constant stress, and he was looking to get his health, his peak performance, and his well-being on track. He was doing everything, and this guy was stressed out beyond stressed out. But after working together, he was reading all the right business books, he was going to the right business coaches, he was attending all the masterminds, and he still just wasn't seeing the results that he was looking for. So Hitch, the leverage multiplier, was really optimizing his internal machinery. Now he's able to focus deeply and get work done in half the amount of time, double his work output, increase the efficiency, run his team better, increase sales calls, because it's not the words he was saying on the sales calls following the script. It was the vibrancy behind the words he was saying, and really being able to listen to people better. What are their true emotions showing them over that Zoom call? And his closing rate just went up significantly as well. And so many more that we aren't showing here. So if you want to go from peak health and unlock states of peak performance to achieve multi 6 and 7 figures in the next 6 months, you can find me on Facebook and DM me health. But if you're not ready yet, that is totally fine too. Simply find me on Facebook, find me on YouTube. I'm posting regularly about all these types of content, cutting into stuff that you don't really see elsewhere. I've been doing this for about 7 to 10 years now, and I'm creating content, free value, and trying to help people in a way that I wish I was helped at the beginning of my journey. And so if you feel like you're somebody who needs that health to get better, or you need to get peak states of performance, for whatever the reasons are that I mentioned before, I can't wait to help you out. So thank you so much for listening to this presentation, and I'll see you real soon.